Hey everybody, I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, taking a look here at a potential storm for next week around the 19th and 20th, and show you what the different models are showing here and what I think is going to be the most likely solution as we go forward here. And this here is the GFS model from Zero Z this evening, and you see here, first thing you want to notice is this first storm, little system here, little weak Miller B system developing off the coast here. And take a notice here, look at the isobars coming across here, and they don't really show up here in Pennsylvania, but that's a signature of cold air damming, those isobars from this high pressure up here. Now, if this was about 1032, 1034, we'd be talking about the potential for a pretty significant icing across northeastern PA into the Hudson Valley and up into parts of New England. But with it being 1028, I think it's just going to be mostly just light rain and drizzle. We'll have to watch out for some slick spots with this particular type of setup with that cold air damming signature, but I'm not expecting a major outbreak. However, this storm is going to become important as we head down the road as to what the next storm does, because you can see here it kind of dissipates there, but we'd like to see that storm system kind of enhancing and not kicking this one out here. We want this low to stay right about there, but it looks like as you go forward that other low starts moving away before the next system comes in. And here's what's happening here with the GFS on that next system. And this here is going to be a major player in this whole setup here, because we don't want this to crash into the West Coast too quickly, because if that happens, then odds are that this ridge is going to pump up, and that's going to then shift the trough offshore. And indeed, the GFS is what it's showing, and you can see here going forward that it takes our next low, the one we're looking at for the 19th and 20th, it takes it offshore and out to sea, and then hooks it back up towards New England as the flow starts backing. Now that's if that system crashes in like that. Let's take a look here at the Canadian model, and I'll show you the differences in that. And if I can get to the looper down there, which doesn't seem to be the case. They have this setup. It's kind of strange with this site. It's very disorganized as far as uniformity goes with their different models. So I can't really show that to you without style. Yes, I can. Okay, there we go. We can do that. So let's take a look here at the Canadian model, and we'll show you here. Now here's the Canadian at 120. I'll show you the GFS at 120 here. And you can see, of course, the map is at a different level there. Let me see if I can get that these more uniform here. There we go. That works. So there's the GFS. There's the Canadian. Now you can see the Canadian. Here's the GFS. The system is crashing onto the West Coast. The Canadian, though, is still offshore back here. And that allows this trough to dig more. And you can see the low is tucked in much closer to the coast than it is on the GFS. There's the GFS at 120. There's the Canadian at 120. So, this system here is a key. Now, a couple of things to consider as far as that goes. And the GFS and the Canadian, both are known for having a progressive bias. And that means they tend to rush things along a little too quickly. So the fact that the Canadian is holding this back a little bit, it makes me wonder if it might be onto something. Sometimes when you see something going against the model's bias, you stop and think, well, maybe that's a red flag, that this is something to consider. So that is definitely a track to consider there. You can see that this is a neutral trough there. Here we have a strongly negatively tilted trough, and that causes the low to tuck back into the coast. It starts off, and then you actually Miller B's on us, and then tucks back in. So, that works like that. Now let's take a look at the European model, and let's see if I can get this down a little bit there for you. And here's the European model for the same time period. We'll go to 120 here, and it's a little bit more progressive than the Canadian is. It has the low a little bit more onshore than the Canadian does, But here's the problem I'm having with the European at this point in time. Look at this just mess over here. This strung out vorticity here. You have little weak lobe there, little weak lobe there. It's doing things that I used to see the GFS doing in this time frame. But the GFS has a nicely conglomerated trough. It's neutral, maybe slightly negative. Of course, the Canadian has a strong negative tilt on its trough. And just for fun, we'll take a look at the no gaps. And where's our 500 millibar here? They have everything backwards on this one. 700, 300, 800. There's no 500 on this. All right. But you can see that the low is shooting way out there. No gaps is not a model that's really of any use in this particular type of a situation. It is a tropical model, basically, used for open water forecasting. It is not designed for mid-latitude winter storm forecasting, but everybody likes to look at it anyway, and so we'll just humor people with this, but don't even put an X through that if I can. So I have a lot of problems though with the European with this solution. I don't see this being just all this strung out like this. I like the idea the GFS has, or the Canadian has, that it is a conglomerated, deepening trough that's coming in. Like I said, both the GFS and the Canadian do have a progressive bias to them. So the fact that the Canadian is not showing that really crashing into the west and not shooting the eastern trough offshore, that's a red flag to me. That's telling me that I think this system is going to end up digging into the east. I think it's going to come closer to the coast than the GFS and the no gaps, we'll just put it out there, is saying. And I think that we are going to see a storm for the interior and the coastal areas here in this region. Now, what form is the precipitation going to take? Well, it's too early for details at this point in time, but right now I'm looking at I think that the models are too warm with their solutions right now. And the reason for that is when you get the 500 millibar trough coming over, you have a deepening low pressure system offshore, you have the 700 millibar low coming over, you have the 850 low coming over. These are all things that cause dynamic cooling. And I think that as the storm starts deepening, you're going to start seeing, and again, I think that's probably going to be tucked in a little bit closer here. So as the storm is deepening, it's going to be not only have the dynamics of the upper levels, but its precipitation rates are going to be increasing. And that's going to create cooling as well. So I think when you're at these periods here, starting Tuesday morning, getting into Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday night, these lines here, the 540 line, the 850 line, they're going to be further east. Now, I think at this point, I still think we're looking at mostly a rain event for the I-95 corridor. Basically, I think anywhere from 81 east, Interstate 81 east, south of New York State, is going to have a lot of problems seeing much in the way of snow with this particular system. So, but west of there, and particularly where you're getting some upsloping into the Appalachians here, West Virginia, central and western Pennsylvania, up into central and western New York State, you could be getting a pretty decent dump of heavy wet snow from this particular system, as it looks now. Like I said, there's a lot of keys that have to come into place. What's going to happen with this low up here? Is it going to set up as a 50-50 low? What's going to happen with this back here? Is it just going to crash into the west coast and just scoot everything along? Or is it going to hang back and allow the ridge to build a little bit and hold this back here a little bit more? So many variables right now to look at. The models are just doing a horrible job with it. The setup favors the scenario I laid out with the storm being closer to the coast and it's being colder with more snow back in here. Things are going to change as we go forward. We will keep you updated on that. I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi with a look at this potential storm system, very complicated storm system coming up for next week.